Shalom. It's following Yahshua. Welcome again to the rock. I am making a change in my chicken coop. And you see what Rivka's doing right now. She is dumping some of our old compost that we had composting in our compost bin right outside the chicken cage. We are dumping it directly in the coop. And we are going to let chickens do what they do. Chickens are natural composters. So instead of composting stuff in a separate bin, I'm actually turning my coop, my whole coop, into a composting. Or my whole run into a composting bin where we're dumping all of our food scraps. Instead of dumping in a compost bin, we're going to come and dump it straight out here and let them eat it. And you can see why. Chickens are great at their job. They're scratching, they're pooping, they're destroying, they're tearing up the compost. And I don't know if you can see, but our land is at a slope. It's at a slope going like that. So we're going to dump stuff at the top of our chicken coop. They'll scratch and eat and scratch and tear up and scratch. And then I have a backstop right here. And this backstop, hey Mackie, is going to come over from this board right here to this board. You can see I already have that board there. And then it's going to go from this board to this board here. Then I'm going to square it off from this board to that board, because this area right here, I'm going to have like a dusting area. I'm going to put DE and some sand in this area and leave it like that. And then I have the chicks area. I'm almost going to put a board from this bin to that area for the chicks. So they have an area, they're scratching and clawing also. And then I'm building a backstop on the back of my coop, because what's going to happen is the chickens are going to scratch, tear up, scratch, tear up. The stuff's going to filter down, it's going to hit this board, it's going to pile up, and then start overflowing into the next section down here and work its way down here. By the time it hits that backstop, which usually is about 14 days, you have compost. And here's an example. I just moved all this stuff from against this area right here. You can see right there how it's piled up. How it's piled up right there. All this stuff was here. But if you look at this stuff, it's like perfectly broken down. These were leaves. We dumped buckets of leaves in here, and the chickens went through and broke it down. They broke all that down and made it basically into a compost already. And we've actually been taking this stuff and just dumping it straight in our gardens. Just dumping it straight in our gardens. Look at that. These are buckets of leaves, pine needles, things like that we dumped in here that they have gone through and torn up. So we're going to have a natural compost making station in our chicken coop, which takes out the middleman. It takes out having to dump it into a bucket. And in this way, with the chickens pooping on it, I can have compost ready in literally about 2.5 to 3 weeks. In 18 days, I can have compost. I've been tracking it as I put a bucket of leaves up here and as it made its way down there. It was about 18 days before it was composted. You know, they're pooping it. They're, as you can see, scratching and tearing it up, eating all the little bugs and food pieces that are in here. You know, you have to be aware you don't put the food that they're not supposed to eat in here. But other than that, you know, that food we're putting in a different compost bin, and we're still going to compost that down. But this stuff that they can't eat, as you can see, they're just scratching everything up. So again, it's going to pile up against this board. Where I landed the slope, they're going to scratch it. And we poured all of our buckets up here in the top. And as you can see, they're already spreading it down. It's already reaching that first threshold right there, which will be from there all the way over there also. So it'll pile up there. And then what that's going to do is the bottom part will stay moist, and we'll still get the earthworms and soldier flies laying in there, and giving the chickens more feed. And it'll keep going down. The process will keep working. And also, the most important thing is this will cut down on the amount of food that I have to buy. That's the most important part. Doing it this way, we fed them like this yesterday, and they destroyed it. And this has been the exact amount of food we left in here since yesterday. And they didn't touch it. They've been scratching, they've been clawing, they've been tearing up the soil and getting the worms and the grubs and the soldier flies and even the ants. And they've been eating the food particles, the eggshells, the potatoes. They've been going through and literally, I mean, they are working this thing over and then pooping on it. So it's perfect. It is perfect. The whole system is perfect. And I believe it's just a simple, it's Yah's simple way of doing things that takes me from having to work so hard in something like turning compost. I don't have to. They do it. And by the time it starts from here, it ends up down here against this backstop, which I'm probably going to have to build all the way up to here. I'm probably going to build it all the way up to here, right here. By the time it reaches there, and since it lands at a slope, it's going to naturally slope that way anyways. By the time it reaches there, it'll be composted down. All we have to do is bring our wheelbarrow in here, or our buckets in here, load up our buckets, take it to our gardens, and it's a beautiful thing. And I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of compost, because we make a lot of compost. We dump a lot of leaves in our garden, or in our chicken coop. And now this is going to give them something to do. This will give our chickens something to do. So they'll be scratching and fighting, apparently. Scratching and going through this and making excellent compost. And I think that's another thing that we have to do, is that we have to continue to use our imaginations so that we can be more effective with the time that we have. We only have a limited amount of time in a day. And for myself, with work and doing this, my time's even more limited. So we have to be effective and cut out some of the remedial tasks that we don't have to do. We put our pasta in here, and we put obviously our vegetable and food scraps, even meat scraps, even our doggone chicken bones. You can throw the chicken bones in here. They'll come and eat it all up. Take the bone out. Then we take the bones out and we throw it to the dogs, and they'll eat the bone. So it's just a continual process of I guess recycling things down and developing a cycle. When you develop a cycle, it makes things so much easier. So much easier. So I'm waiting for right now. Ripka, you coming? She's coming with one more bucket. We have a whole compost bin back there that was full of compost. So we're just shoveling it in buckets, bringing it in here, and dumping it. And rather than leaving it in the compost bin to compost down, the chickens are doing all the work. Look at them. Scratching, tearing at the soil, tearing at the compost, shredding it up, and then they eat what they want to eat, and then they poop on this stuff, which helps it break down even faster. But it's literally a 2-week to 18-day, 19-day process for it to start here. They scratch, piles up there, comes up, overflows there, and then makes its way down there. And then as it does it, I can raise the food and the water bins higher, because the ground will be piled up there, and it's just gonna encourage more of the earthworms, more of the things to end up in the compost, which they can then eat. And I'm telling you, saving food, saving the scratch prices, saving the prices on the egg layers and feed. It's all right here. It's all right here. Yah's perfect cycle. I'm also going to hang a bucket up there. If I find roadkill, put the roadkill in the bucket, drill holes in the bottom of the bucket, soldier flies go in the bucket, lay their larvae start eating at the stuff inside the bucket, and then falling through the holes, also feeding the chickens. And you see there's another bin she's pouring down, and you see them attacking it. They went right after that pile, because there's so much in there. And they're even eating cardboard. And that's why we got the cardboard down here. They're even eating cardboard and newspaper. So here's a very simple way to make compost, to feed your chickens, to make wonderful compost, to get rid of your food scraps, and to have compost ready, literally, in less than 3 weeks. In less than 3 weeks, you'll have compost ready. We're going to come down here, and I'm probably going to end up shoveling most of this that they've already broken down and getting it into our gardens. All this right here, look at that. Probably end up shoveling that into our gardens. For our gardens to grow, I have to finish from here all the way over there. And then on the baby chicks, I have to do their section too. So, stay busy. Keep at it. And Yah willing, this will help somebody in their efforts of growing chickens and minimizing the cost of the chickens, minimizing the price they'll have to pay for the chickens, minimizing the expenses. There's a rotten egg. Minimize the expenses that you'll have to pay for your chickens. All right. Bless you all. and shalom.